The earth is here for you to exploit.
No, it's here for you to protect, to use it sustainably.
No, it's all about growth,
It's
profit,
about
jobs,
community,
money,
well-being,
machinery.
health.
People need food.
Hi, we're here with Siloe, creator and producer of Suburban Homestead, and I'd like you to tell me a little bit about what that is.
Well, I started the channel Suburban Homestead just as a way to inspire people to perhaps think about growing their own food in their own backyard. And I guess everybody has that notion, that maybe idyllic notion that growing your own food is a good thing to do, but it seems to be not practical in today's world. So I'm trying to show that it's possible to, even in a small suburban lot, to grow some of your food, at least for flavor, if not for sustenance.
And how did this all start? I see that you have more skills than just gardening.
Yeah, video and editing and animation, stop motion specifically. But I've always had a passion for gardening, even ever since I was a child. Growing up in Brazil, so it's just something that I always wanted to do. And it's interesting because I always lived in an urban setting, so my dream, actually, I thought it was kind of unfair that I didn't grow up in a farm. So I see myself as a farmer at heart. So it's kind of interesting that it took me back to this project that I'm doing. So it took me back to the idea of growing my own food.
When you were in Brazil, in your first video, you say that there was a lot more food surrounding you. What was the difference in culture shock when you changed from Brazil to the States?
There's a big culture shock. Well, first, it's tropical country, obviously. So food there is available year-round, and it's tropical food, lots of fruit. But I lived in São Paulo in the middle of an urban jungle, basically, of concrete. There's absolutely no gardening culture in São Paulo at all. It was pure concrete, and I felt that I needed, even as a child, I remember like planting beans in little pots and stuff and trying to make them grow, but of course they wouldn't because I wasn't doing it right. But so coming here and seeing America with its landscape that was planned to have more green space, even if lately, I know that suburbia is not the most sustainable of planning choices. There's still that element of the green, and I think that's really important for the human. And why not use that's available already, even if it's not the most well-planned structure? Why not use that structure to make it more sustainable, to close the loops of the industrial complex and create your own food and be able to grow it that way.
I think that's what made America great at the beginning. They had their freedom farms. They were producing a lot of their own food, and everyone had a piece of land. And now I guess we started to cultivate grass more than anything. And it's a big problem with such a simple solution, and I think that's why suburban homesteading is such an amazing project. And I want to know, what's the goal?
The goal is to inspire as many people as possible to start gardening. It's just that. That's as simple as that. Just start doing it. Don't just let grass grow. Because, I mean, first of all, I personally hate cutting grass. I think it's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. It's terrible. I get asthma attacks with the fumes. It's just bad. So I was trying to, for my own sake, to find alternatives to not have to cut as much grass. So I think gardening for food, which is more practical, I believe, is the best alternative.
The only thing stopping people is a lack of education. The education system isn't really teaching the agricultural skills, and that's kind of where you come in, and this project, which is trying to show people how fun and easy it could be in a setting like suburbia. You don't need big pieces of land. You already have land at your disposal, even if it's not your parents'. It's maybe the park down the street, maybe the school down the street.
Exactly. I believe there's so much available land. And it's easy, if you think about it, it's not that hard to access. So it's just a way of wanting it. If there's a will, there's a way, you know.
I think that everyone's looking for someone to cut their grass, so why not a gardener who comes and says, I'll just plant a tree, and maybe in 5 years you'll have an abundance of apples or pears.
Actually, yeah, trees. Trees, if everybody at least grew trees, because if we look at the most sustainable system, at least here in the Eastern Seaboard, is the forest. So if we can recreate forests that also bring food, that's closing loops, that's making things much more efficient in a rather pragmatic way because you have your food right outside of your door. So, and you don't have to do much. For fruit trees, you can easily grow. If you have the sun, you can grow fruit trees. It's incredible, like when I look and read a little bit about the native cultures, how much in touch they were with the environment in terms of understanding that possession is not something that is like personal, it's something that's collective, and everybody needs to take care of what's around them, and that ultimately benefits everybody else. It's a nice way of thinking. I know it might not be the most feasible way of thinking in today's society, but I think it's something we can strive towards.
And what's your philosophy behind gardening?
My philosophy in terms of
Why you do it? And what
why
you
do I
hope
do
to
it?
teach people while doing it?
Well, I do it because I love it. I couldn't say. I personally think everybody has that potential of wanting to be in contact with nature. I don't know if this is a rather naive idea of mine and if it's only taking my own view of things into consideration, but I believe deep down everybody has that. Maybe they haven't experienced it in a positive light. Perhaps culture has taught us too much that, well, planting, gardening is something, especially, and this is, I'm referring especially to Brazilian culture, and I see it a little bit in America. But in Brazil, if you're tilling the earth, if you're the gardener, the farmer, you're below. Your status is not good. So I think to rethink that, to understand that the real energy, real value comes actually from food, from growing. That's where the cornerstone of economy even sits. Then we understand that that's true value, that's true wealth. That's maybe we just need to reset our values overall as society to
Yeah.
understand the value of gardening.
I definitely see what you're saying by as the farmer is sometimes seen as the peasant, but if we can remember all great civilizations, if we start at Sumeria, starts because agriculture was set up so that it could spring and so that it could grow. Without proper
Exactly.
agriculture, you cannot have this kind of lifestyle. And the people that I've met that are in farming, okay, sure, the ones who are growing monoculture, they're like a dime a dozen. It's like everyone else. But when you meet the farmer who's doing it right, I mean, they're happy, they're strong, they're healthy, they're kind of everything that you want to be in life. And I think it does come from that connection with the earth.
Yeah. And in terms of method, like I think gardening is a trial and error. You're gonna think something is right, but then you're gonna find out it's not. You're gonna think you had the best of intentions and maybe you didn't, and it's not really sustainable what you're doing. But it's a process. So if the thing is, if you're doing it, if you're learning, that's more important than getting it right at first. And the best thing to learn is to observe nature. I think nature is the greatest teacher in terms of what works. It sets up its own self-regulating, economies in a way.
Yeah, we don't
So
have to water the old growth forest, eh?
yeah, it gets into a stable system basically. So
Well, yeah, I think that's what gardening might be in the end is just a learning experience and exploring yourself. And that soil was ultimately you.
yeah, and besides that, there's all obviously I think the health aspect, growing fresh fruit, and fresh vegetables, just for even the flavor. The flavor, I think, if you don't want to think about health, if you don't want to think about the sustainable aspects, flavor, it's all there. Like tomatoes, for instance, plant your tomatoes. Please don't buy, especially in the summer, store-bought tomatoes if they're not locally grown because they're just bland. They're like eating cardboard. So why?
Peaches at Valhalla, I don't know if anybody else gets a taste of them because I eat 20 in a day.
Mm. Yep.
And
Fresh
that's
picked
something,
peaches are awesome.
and I guess that's the craziness of our times is that making a small garden is such a revolutionary act.
It's kind of upside down if you think about it. It shouldn't get to this point. It really shouldn't have.
And it has. And we thank
Yeah.
people like you for doing the great job that you've done. So I encourage
Thank
anybody
you.
who's watching this, please go check out Suburban Homestead and find out for yourself, is it right for you? Because it looks good, and I think we should all partake in this kind of endeavor.
Yep, I agree.
Any last words?
Just go garden.